Okay, so this is my audience. This is Davion, my son. Hi. And this is my brother Vince.
Hi.
So, today I am going to be talking about Belle and the Beast. Where I decided to do Beauty and the Beast for my film analysis. So, at first, I'm going to be talking about Belle and the Beast's relationship. So at first, when they first started meeting each other, they were very standoffish, and um, Belle ended up meeting him, and she wasn't happy because of her father was inside of a castle locked up as a prisoner of the beast. So she tried to explain to the beast that her father was very sick and that he needed to leave to go to back to where he was because of he had a lot of complications, and so she tried to explain that to him. She was very expressive in the nonverbal um, communication category, especially with um, her posture. She was tilted over when the beast ended up coming into the light when she asked him to come into the light. Uh, he ended up coming into light, and she was hunched over, and she made a huge sigh, which showed fear and also avoidance. So with uh, with that, um, she ended up telling the beast that she was not going to let her father stay there and that she would be the prisoner. So the beast ended up taking her to be his prisoner, to be his prisoner. And he ended up letting the father leave. So right there, you've seen a lot. The beast, before, he was extremely angry when he seen Belle come into the castle and seen her there. He started running around in circles, growling. And there was a lot of nonverbal, again, things going on with him. He was he was standing up um, with he was standing up and had his posture basically in a power superior type of mode, and it made Belle very nervous and very scared. So after that, um, right before that, Belle and Gaston were from the town that Belle lived at with her father. Gaston was very attracted to Belle in a way that was for the wrong reasons. It wasn't because of her. It wasn't because of how intellectual she was. It was because of her beauty, and Belle understood that, and she did not want to have anything to do with him because of that situation. And so, number one, Gaston comes over, and the first thing he does is he grabs the book out of her hand. Now, when that happens, Belle tries to get the book back, but Gaston turns his back towards her, showing that basically, he's in power over her, and and he ends up after that chasing her down to wherever she went, and finally she got away from him, but she did explain to him that she was not interested and tried to let him know that she did not want to have anything to do with him. Um, for non-verbally, she was really focusing on trying to continue to walk still and avoid eye contact with him in a large way. Um, and then the next scene, you see Belle and Gaston. Gaston ends up coming to Belle's house, and he comes ready to marry her and to propose to her. Well, Belle has no clue, and she does not know about this because she's inside the house and they're outside. The first thing Gaston does is knocks very loudly on the door, and with a very large tone, he comes in. Once the door is open, Belle opens up the door. He comes in with a very large tone and is very aggressive towards Belle. Belle then proceeds to back up and walk away from Gaston because of she is obviously showing by her nonverbal communication that she is trying to avoid the situation, and she's not comfortable with what's going on, and you can tell that she just wants him to leave. And so then he ends up continuing to come towards her. She goes around the table, and he places his feet on the table, and you could just tell things starts to progress, and he ends up pushing her up against the door, and she opens up the door, and he flies out. So that was her way of getting him out of there. But Gaston used a lot of authority in that scene, and Belle expressed that she was not comfortable, and that you could see non-verbally that she was really not okay with the situation at all, because she was scooting back and turning her back towards him, and her facial expression showed that she was very confused and very worried. So the last part I would like to talk with dealing with the characters is Belle and the Beast. At the end, they end up falling in love with each other. So when that happens, they end up in a scene where they are dancing together, and there's a lot of haptics involved, which haptics is dealing with touching, and you can tell that they're both very comfortable with each other, and that they are now okay with being close like that. And so at first, if you notice in the first scene, they were very standoffish toward each other. There was a lot of avoidance going on, but now you can tell they are very happy with each other, and Belle is looking into the Beast's eyes the whole time, and giving the okay for the Beast to hug her and be close with her. So that showed, I feel like that was the start of them falling in love, and you seeing that they're both now comfortable with each other. So that was very interesting to see how it ended up going from the nonverbal communication of stepping away from both of them, that both of them stepping away from each other, and then they ended up coming together in the end and being comfortable. So now I'm going to start talking about the Knap's theory of the relationship between Belle and the Beast. So at first, it starts with avoidance. Belle is very unhappy with how the Beast treated her father and herself. The Beast does not know her well and is not trying to get to know her when she first arrives. They go to the next stage of that is the experimenting stage. The Beast starts to see what Belle enjoys to do. For example, reading, and so he introduces her to his large library that he has, and starts to ask questions and becomes curious to know more about Belle. After that, the next step is intensifying, and um, and as explained for this stage, one can start to try and look more attractive towards one another, and how that happened in one of the scenes was when they went to the ballroom and they ended up um, going and getting dressed and trying to look really nice for one another, especially the Beast. He wasn't worried about that at first, but now he's very worried about that, and you see in that scene that that's how you're showing the intensifying stage right there. They then reached integrating. They both gave up characteristics of their old self to please one another, especially the Beast. He was much more kind and gentle towards Belle because they started to fall in love. So from that stage, it moved on to bonding. They made it official in the end. They professed their love to everyone, and everyone knew that they were together. So, a brief synopsis of the film. Basically, Beauty and the Beast is a story about a young prince who refused to shelter an old lady because of her monstrous look. He did not know that this old lady was an enchantress in disguise. His denial upset the lady, and she ended up cursing the whole entire castle. And after that, that's when he ended up becoming the Beast. And then a lady named Belle ended up arriving to the castle and in search for her father, because her father ended up winding to the castle and started and was sick, and so she ended up finding him there. During the movie, they started to get to know each other, and they ended up falling in love. And so then that's when they ended up in the end becoming one together, and she ended up kissing the Beast, and the Beast ended up becoming back into the prince. So, my thoughts on what needs to be worked on was found on an article from brighthubpm.com. I'll start first with Gaston. I feel as in Gaston needed to work on overcoming listening barriers, especially the next time he wants to engage in a conversation. He should not interrupt as well, and he should listen to what the other person has to say, because Belle was definitely trying to explain herself. She was even showing nonverbal communication as to she wasn't comfortable as well. He needs to also practice on thinking before he speaks, and that could possibly make a better relationship for the next person that he would like to be interested in. Dealing with Belle and the Beast, they could have done some perception checking. And I got this from an article which was franciswinnett.wordpress.com. This could have helped in the beginning with the Beast providing feedback. Instead of screaming and yelling when you first see that he meets Belle, he starts screaming and yelling. And instead of that, he could have did some perception check, and he could have really thought about how he's making Belle feel and how that type of communication is not a way that you will get anything solved that way. And then on Belle's part, Belle could have asked the Beast for clarification as well, on how to understand certain things and to make sure that everything got communicated well, because of apparently the Beast at first was not very good with his communication skills at first. So if the perceptions check there between that relationship, I feel like that would have been working in the beginning for them. But overall, in the end, I feel like their relationship was a good relationship, and it seems like it would be a healthy relationship after that. So that is my film analysis, and I hope that you enjoyed it and that you got something and learned